There he is. What's up, Dr. Ben?
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, really pumped to get your book here. I've got the Kindle version. Looking forward to getting the paperback. But yeah, let's jump into it since we're a little short on time here. But so so tell me about the book. What kind of led up to that, and maybe go into your story a little bit. Maybe what inspired you to come up with the book.
Sure. So, what led up to the book was me having my own health problems, which I'm sure you're familiar with and why you do what you do now.
For sure.
But basically, this is the book that, I wish I had 12 years ago when I first came down with issues. And back then, I really didn't know what the heck was going on, but I was dealing with chronic muscle pain, really bad chronic fatigue, really bad digestive issues, really bad skin issues in my late 20s. And I didn't know anything about like raw foods or nutrition, or I thought anybody who even talked about that stuff was out of their mind.
Yeah.
I basically just trusted the medical system, and I thought, okay, well, I've come down with all these issues weirdly out of nowhere. I'd been healthy my whole life up until that point. Let me go to the doctor and have them prescribe me drugs and fix the problem. And so I really thought that that's how it was going to go down. Like I thought I would just, go to the doctor and I got problems A, B, C, and D, and they just give me drugs X, Y, Z, and then I'm cured and I'm on my way. Found out it didn't actually work like that. They have to do things to go like, no, we don't know. Let's run some tests on you. Okay, all the tests are coming back normal. Well, you got skin issues. Let's refer you to the dermatologist. You got digestive issues. Let's refer you to the gastroenterologist. And all of them kind of like look at me and scratch their head and be like, well, it doesn't fit anything in the textbook, so I don't know. And I was like very, this is not what I expected. Like I just thought them to be like, oh, we know what's wrong with you. Here's the medicine. You're better. And that was not the case. And so basically they couldn't figure it out. So they started telling me things like, oh, it's all in your head, or it's, like we got to just run more tests on you, run more and more tests. And it was like I was this mystery case that they couldn't solve. And like, in the beginning, you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like I'm this mystery case. But then it's like, yo, guys, like figure it out.
Right.
So after 6 months of doing that, I was just like, I'm literally not getting any better. I'm going from doctor to doctor to doctor and just getting like, just looking at people scratching their heads. And so that's when I started, just researching on my own. And I remember like reading like, oh, if you eat better, like more fruits and vegetables, a lot of these problems go away. And I thought, not doing that. Right? Like, where's the cure? Where's the fix?
Exactly.
It's gotta be. And but eventually after trying every miracle supplement, cure, whatever, none of them working. And I was like, okay, let's humble ourselves and give this diet thing a try because nothing else is working. And by this point I'm like barely functioning in life. It's like, let's give it a shot. Like I will concede that nutrition works. I will do it because I'm sick of being sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I just started, like, literally there was information on the internet, but like I was just like, well, let me see. Fruits and vegetables are good for you. I like smoothies. I like microwaving food. I'll just throw stuff in a blender. And like I no books, didn't check out a single thing on social media. It was just like, oh, I have like broccoli and apples and spinach and bananas in the refrigerator. Like I'll throw that in the blender and make a smoothie. Like, okay. And that was like how I got started, honestly.
Okay.
And so then I noticed I was feeling better when I did that. Like, oh, I'm eating better. Like I'm eating fruits and vegetables, and like I'm doing it in my special lazy way that works for me, because I don't want to like look up recipes or have to cook or like do anything involved. I'm a guy. And so, but then eventually it was like, well, these smoothies don't always taste good. Let me look up recipes on the internet. And that just set me down a rabbit hole. So, kind of got, learned a lot of raw food information on the mean streets of YouTube back in 2011. And that's kind of where my jumping off point was. And then it was like I was watching YouTube videos, and like people are reversing diseases and their health problems are going away when they eat better. And like I just wanted my stomach not to hurt. That's all I wanted. Like, oh, I was just willing to deal with everything else, but I found that when I ate better, the other problems went away too, which was interesting because I was just trying to get my stomach better. So, gradually over time, just got more and more into it, noticed more and more results. And by the time I was eating like an 80-90% raw food diet, fruit-based, like, for a few months, like most everything went away. And that was kind of like wow, like this whole paradigm of like, oh, you got to take drugs and like see a bunch of doctors, like it just dissolved, because I was like, well, I just healed myself just on food, and like after months of going to the doctor, like we're on to something here. So and then of course now I meet people like you and lots of other people on social media who've done similar things, and so I just became really passionate about it, and actually wrote the table of contents for this book back in 2014. But like, I'm not like procrastination, it's not easy to put a book out.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. So, now the book's out. I don't even have a physical copy. I had one signed copy left, and I was like, I gotta save this for when I do interviews. And then someone came to the office yesterday, was like, oh, can I please have it? Can you sign it? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. It's my last one. Now I don't even know how to book it.
Right.
So that's kind of my story, the story of the book. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. So, obviously autoimmune conditions, they are rising, seems by the day. I know so many people that have, they're told they have autoimmune conditions. So this is a book that is definitely needed, because it's going to help so many people. I mean, it's incredible how quickly people are coming down with, more and more people are coming down with these issues. So, do we know what causes autoimmune conditions? Maybe, mainstream doesn't really give us, the whole picture. Do you have an idea of what might be contributing to some of these issues?
Sure, that's a good question. I think that, mainstream medicine likes to give two answers. One is like, oh, it's your genes, right? Which, like you said, if this is exploding, it's getting more and more common. Like, years ago, it was very rare, and now it's like everybody knows someone who has some kind of like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, whatever. You see TV ads for these conditions, which when we were kids, you didn't see that, right? So they say it's genetic. Well, that doesn't add up, because it's like, how did it become more common all of a sudden, right?
Right.
So then they'll just say, we don't know. It's a mystery. We don't know, right? I guess my answer is like, we don't know definitively, but we have a lot of dots to connect that kind of show the story. And it's kind of like you start kicking over rocks that people don't want to look under, and you find things that people don't want to talk about. So definitely, like, the food we eat is a big contributor. I mean, we're exposed to so much toxicity in this, like, all these processed foods and these animal foods that are, the animals are just fed this horrible industrial diet, and just so toxic to our system. And so that's one of the best ways to heal, is to just clean up your diet. But there's a lot of other toxicity that we get exposed to. And we're going to risk censorship on the Instagrams here. But one of the things I started doing was, when I got into this, I'll just talk in code to evade the censorship. When I started getting into this, this was maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I was researching this question, like, where does autoimmune disease come from? What causes it, right? Like, they got to know in the medical literature. And what I found, like, really surprised me, because it was not what I was expecting. But basically, the V word, and we're not just talking about like the current one, but a lot of the past ones, people get them as like a side effect of this, or they are the side effect of a flu or a HPV or a many of these other ones. And it's just sort of like, oh, that's rare. It's 1 in 1,000 people, whatever. But it's like, that's what shows up. And they're admitting that, like, it's happening, right? And so I was like, really? Like, that just doesn't, like, I thought these things were like great. They're the saviors of medicine. Like, they're causing, autoimmune conditions. But if you think about it, they are immune modulating drugs. Like, they're designed to change your immune system, right? To make you immune to something else. But as we know, drugs have side effects, right? They don't always work like they do kind of what they're supposed to do most of the time, sometimes. But then they do other things that we don't intend to that are just kind of like the consequence of when you screw with one part of the body, it affects everything else.
Yeah.
And so you mess with the immune system and you make it run haywire and then it starts attacking things. So we haven't talked about this, but autoimmune is like basically when the immune system attacks some part of the body. And depending on what part of the body it attacks, they give it a different name, right? So if they attack your joints, it's rheumatoid arthritis. If it attacks your thyroid, it's Hashimoto's, that kind of thing. Well, you give the body a drug to make it like immune to some, disease, right? But then you affect some other part of the immune system, and then that goes and attacks like, your joints or your thyroid, your brain or whatever. And it's like, oops, right? But that all gets swept under the rug. Pharmaceutical industry doesn't like to talk about side effects, right? Mm-hmm. Like they just kind of go, oh yeah, you'll feel better. And people are like playing their guitar. And then it's like, oh, side effects may include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, suicidal thoughts, bleeding out your ears. And it's like, we'll just gloss over that, right?
But don't worry, because they have another pill for you to take care of that, right?
Yeah. And now we're even at the point where it's like they have drugs that are specifically designed and marketed to like address the side effects of other drugs. Like they have these laxative drugs that are specifically designed to combat constipation caused by high dose pain medication, right? It's like they can't lose, right? It's like you cure one disease, cause another, and then you sell the cure for the other one, and pretty soon you're on 20 different pills and you're not getting any better. And so, that's why I wrote this book, because there's a lot of people out there like that. Because now the treatment for autoimmune conditions is, oh, your immune system's attacking itself, your body. Well, let's suppress your immune system, right? Like your immune system, then you won't have this problem anymore. Now you won't have an immune system. You kind of need that. You'll get sick, and you'll get these other conditions, and eventually over time you'll get cancer because your immune system's suppressed. But at least your joint pain will go away. Makes sense if you don't think about it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like ultimately we do got to look at the root cause. We can't just be like, oh, well, it must be because your immune system's acting up, so let's suppress it, right? Because no, it's even deeper than that. It's just that your body is toxic, and your body's just got a lot of crap in it that isn't supposed to be there, and you need help expunging it. And so I think that's where the raw foods comes in amazing, because it's like you feed the body that, and it's like, okay, let me just clear out all the other crap, right? Because when you're feeding it crap, it can't deal with the backlog of stuff that's inside of it already. But when you feed it the good stuff, then it can start clearing house.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important for people to know, is just how toxic our world has become. The food, the water, the soil, the air, everything. We're inundated with just toxic soup, basically, that we're living in here. So your book, again, is going to be important for opening people's eyes to that fact, and that the body, just reacts in certain ways when it's overloaded with toxins. Were there any other, lifestyle factors that you took into account that helped you overcome your autoimmune issue?
For sure. I mean, I think that, it's very easy to look at diet as the end all be all. And I think it's probably the most important, thing. But obviously, there's other factors that cause health, create health. Getting enough sleep is huge. I mean, if you're eating the perfect diet and you're only sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night, your body's not going to have what it needs to heal, right? It's not like it can't constantly be working. You have to let it rest. Getting exercise. This amazes me that people want to eat this super healthy diet and then think that they don't need to exercise, or think that they don't have to exercise, or just don't blow it off. Because a lot of times in the outer world it's the opposite. It's like, oh, I'm just out exercising my bad diet, right? But then in the raw food, it's like, oh, I'm going to out diet my lack of exercise. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. So those things are important. Mindfulness. Stress, if you're eating the healthiest diet and you're constantly upset, OCD about it and stressed out about it, and worried about making the slightest slip up, you're stressing yourself out, and then your body can't heal. So you gotta, I would say those are the other factors, is like, you know, mitigating stress, things like meditation, getting enough sleep, and getting exercise. And those are mistakes that I think I made in the beginning when I first got into this. It was just like, oh, raw foods heals all. Like, just do that and be super OCD about it and not sleep, and it'll you know. And I kind of like hit a plateau with it. I hit like I'm not getting any better. What's going on?
Yeah.
And I had to humble myself and realize those other things are important too.
Yeah, definitely. I see that a lot, and I did the same thing too. You know, people get into this, they think they can sleep for like 4 hours and get by, and yeah, without exercise. Yeah, it's pretty common, and I think people realize that if they stick with this lifestyle long enough, that it does take a holistic approach. For your diet, when you were overcoming your issues, was there any specific foods that you found to be especially helpful in that process?
I mean, it sounds cliche, but like fruits and vegetables. I don't think there's any kind of shortcut or superfood. You know, we're not going to pop on here, and you're not going to pop on here with like, buy my Irish sea moss. Like, this will get you there even faster. Get my special herbs from the Amazon. We'll get you there even faster. It's like, no, just get what's in season, what's high quality, what's good, and eat a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then people want to ask me, like, you know, or they ask you, I'm sure too, like, well, you know, I have high blood pressure, and I heard pomegranates are really good for it. I should eat a lot of pomegranates, right? It's like, well, when pomegranates are in season, go to town, right? But like it doesn't really matter. It's like all fruits and vegetables are equally good for you. People are very stuck in this kind of quid pro quo model of like, oh, well, for this condition I have to have this, and for this condition I have that. That's the medical model. That's the medicine strategy we've talked about. Doesn't really work too well for most things. The health paradigm is completely different. So yeah, to answer your question, and maybe you already knew this was going to be my answer, I don't think there's anything in particular that's like better than anything else when it comes to fruits and greens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool, man. So let's see. I see that you also mentioned the mind-body connection in the book. Can you talk a little bit about that and how, you know, that played out for you?
Sure. I mean, I think a lot of people who come to this not only have toxicity, but they have a lot of trauma, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. That suppresses the nervous system and keeps it in this kind of fight or flight constant mode of defense, right? Defending against the next whatever is going to come at them. And when they're then that defense mode, it's really a lot harder to heal. Like, their nervous system's kind of always on guard, and they can't get into that like deep, relaxed state where they can, you know, sleep better and things like that. And so I kind of go over some techniques of like working through that. I think that's a more complex thing. It was one chapter in the book. I feel like I can write a whole other book about that. But that's super important, dealing with a lot of that stuff sometimes. And what I've noticed, honestly, is that like some people, that's like the last frontier. They dial in the diet completely, but they still got all this trauma. It's like, until they overcome that, they're not going to get completely well. Like, they're still going to struggle with symptoms. Like, two people who have similar conditions, but one has trauma, both do a raw food diet for 3, 6, 12 months, whatever. One of them heals completely. The other one's still dealing with issues. Usually that's the kind of the missing piece. It was something that I didn't want to believe for a long time, but I had seen enough of it, like just clinically, that I couldn't ignore it. So, you know, things like meditation, breath work, you know, somatic techniques for getting the trauma out of the body can be important to those people. Does everybody need it? No. I mean, could everybody benefit from it? Probably. But I think that that it definitely plays a role in some people's healing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The mind is super powerful, and the way that we treat our body definitely impacts the mind. So yeah, it's a really key thing, and I'm glad you talk about that in the book, because a lot of people just kind of, you know, go into the new lifestyle with their old thinking habits, and that can really prevent them from reaching the healing that they're, expecting. But so when it comes to, succeeding, healing an autoimmune condition, or just, whatever aspect of their health that somebody might be trying to improve, do you have any things that worked for you specifically, or what people can do to succeed in this, system that we live in this world where it's not really conducive to health? Are there anything, steps or tips that you can provide, people can start taking today to start moving in that direction?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question because, yeah, like you mentioned, the system that we have set up in the existing world is gonna make you sick. It's literally like you drive down the street and the Arby's vent is psh, blowing the fumes at you, right? And then you're wondering why am I at Arby's? So it's really important to kind of create a community around yourself, surround yourself with people who have similar interests, similar goals, want to do the same thing, want to be healthy, want to be well, and are willing to forego a lot of the things out there that people like that are actually making them sick. And so if you can find that community in person where you live, that's amazing. That's hard to do. I know that when I first started, that was next to impossible. So then what you do is you go online and you find community there. You're watching videos and following channels of people that inspire you. You're tuning out the people that don't. I know that a lot of people have online communities. I have one. I'm sure you probably have one. Facebook groups, Telegram groups, things like that. Search out community and find people that resonate with you, and tune out the people that don't, because they're just going to drag you down. You only have so much to give.
Yeah, I like the analogy of it's not a vegan analogy, but, the lobsters in the boiling pot, one tries to get out and the other one's kind of drag them back into the pot. It's very similar, to what we see in the world today. It's, somebody starts to do something differently and start to, really take steps to improve their life. And then the people around them are critical of them. They tell them that can't work. That's crazy. My doctor said that food doesn't have anything to do with that condition. All these different things. They try to put doubt in your mind. So like you said, building that supportive community of, like-minded people that have already done what you're trying to do that's amazing. So important. So yeah. So the book is currently available. Is it only in Kindle right now, or can you get the paperback on Amazon?
Sure. So Friday, the paperback will be available. Right now it's Wednesday.
Okay.
So for launch, it's the Kindle version's dirt cheap on Amazon just to get, the numbers up. So you can go on Amazon if you're watching this, after launch week, and you don't like Amazon, you can go on my website, createhealthbook.com. I actually have some bonuses, some bonus video trainings, and if you get the book on there, you get them for free, so you can check that out.
Nice.
But yeah, if you want the paperback, it'll be on Amazon in a few days here. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and right now the book on Kindle is only 99 cents, right? So, I mean, it's like a no-brainer that people would want to pick that up as soon as possible.
Yeah, just for this week only. So,
Okay.
Going to go back up to regular price eventually. But yeah, for launch week, yeah. We make it. And it's been nice. I got ranked #1 in homeopathy, which I didn't even know I was in that category.
I saw that, yeah.
So yeah, so that's cool. But yeah, man, thanks for that. The book is, it's basically if I could go back in time in a time machine and go back to 2010 then and just be like, hey, do what's in this book. You'll get better a lot. You will save yourself a lot of time and frustration,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the strategy there. So thanks for support on plugging that book. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, the more information like this that we can get out, sharing people like your message. I especially want to promote your message because I really believe in the message that you holistically present, not just on the diet, but also on other factors that really impact, our lives. You're out there fighting, a lot of different battles for people, and I really appreciate that. So, I think that people like you need all the support that we can get you. And yeah, I just want to encourage everybody out there to definitely go check out this book, Autoimmune. Sorry, what is the Create Health, Reverse Autoimmune Disease Without Drugs or Their Side Effects. So yeah, I mean, perfect title, tells you exactly what it's going to give you, teach you how to do. And also it's my favorite color. So I especially like the book. That blue is really nice.
Thanks.
So yeah. Anything, to finish off here? We only got 2 minutes left, but anything else you want to share either about the book or just, in general?
No, I think we covered everything. I really enjoyed, you asked me great questions, and I just really appreciate all your support, man. If you ever have anything you ever want to promote or need a shout out on, just let me know. I mean, I'd be super happy. I appreciate all the work you're doing too. So thank you.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'll definitely be in touch. I'd love to collaborate with you in the future as much as possible and support your message. So yeah, thanks a lot for jumping on the live with me today. I know you're busy, so I'll let you get back to all your things going on. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks, Matt.
All right, see ya.